ये वो पेपर है जो आप लोग के सीनियर्स ने दिया होगा. सो इफ़ यू नो समवन दैट गॉट एन ए स्टार लास्ट ईयर, तो उन्होंने ये पेपर दिया था, A2 फिजिक्स पास्ट papers. So this is May June 2024 paper 2 paper 4 variant 2. Chalo, let's start. This is the variant that is usually applied in Pakistan. So let's go here. Okay, define the term radian. Okay, what is radian? What is radian? Any geniuses in the chat? What is radian? Yes, भाई radian क्या होता है? Any geniuses that we have in the chat? What is radian? When your subtended angle subtended at the center of the circle, at the center of the circle, when radius is equals to your arc length, that is s. ठीक है, when radius is equals to your arc length, मैं पूरा ही लिख देता हूँ यार. When radius equals your arc length, simple. Let's further move ahead. A circular metal disc spins horizontally about a vertical axis as shown in figure 1.1. Perfect. This is a circular disc spinning like this. Perfect. A piece of molding clay is attached to the disc. Perfect. For the instant when the molding clay is in the position shown, drawn on figure 1.1, ठीक है यहाँ पे molding clay है. Label an arrow V showing the direction of the velocity of the molding clay. Okay, so what will be the direction of the velocity of the molding clay? Tangent to the path in which it is moving. Tangent to the path in which it is moving. Perfect. An arrow labeled A showing the direction of acceleration of the molding clay. Okay, so what will be the direction of acceleration? Towards the center. Let me draw it with an arrow instead. The direction of acceleration will be like this. Yeah, let's label it like this. Okay. कोई सवाल यहाँ पे? हाँ हाँ, पूछो बेटा, क्या सवाल है? पूछो पूछो, जिसका सवाल है पूछ लो बेटा. अच्छा, लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड. नाउ लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड. आगे क्या लिखा हुआ है भाई? लेट्स सी. Is centripetal force and acceleration always perpendicular to velocity in circular motion? Yes. Centripetal force and acceleration is always perpendicular to velocity in your centripetal motion. ठीक है, चलो. Let's further move ahead. अच्छा, the metal disc in figure 1.1 has a radius of 9.3 centimeter. Perfect. The metal disc, it is perpendicular to velocity and direction of motion both. Direction of motion basically velocity होती है, ठीक. The center of gravity of the molding clay is 1.2 centimeter from the rim of the disc and moves with a speed of this. Perfect. Calculate the angular speed of the disk. We have to calculate the angular speed of the disk. How can we calculate the angular speed of the disk? We know, we know this formula. V is equals to RW. बेटा हमें ये फॉर्मूला पता है, V is equals to RW. Perfect. What is the V here? यहाँ पे V क्या है बेटा? What is the V here? 0.68. What is the radius of the disk? 9.3 centimeters. So 9.3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 2 will give you your W. Let's calculate that by 0.68 divided by 9.3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 2. Your velocity comes out to be 7.3, or your W comes out to be 7.3 radians per second. Simple as that, nothing complicated. Chalo, let's further move ahead. Calculate the acceleration of the center of gravity of the molding clay. So basically we have to calculate what? Centripetal acceleration. We have to calculate centripetal acceleration. How are we going to do it? Very, very, very easy. बेटा सेंट्रीपिटल एक्सेलरेशन का कौन सा फॉर्मूला हम यहाँ पे लगा सकते हैं? सेंट्रीपिटल एक्सेलरेशन इज इक्वल टू वी स्क्वायर ओवर आर. व्हाट इज द लीनियर वेलोसिटी? 0.68. परफेक्ट. Now, please pay attention. You have to calculate the centripetal acceleration of the molding clay. So, what is the radius of the molding clay? What is the radius of the molding clay? ये वाला distance क्या है बेटा? How can we calculate this? This distance is 9.3 minus 1.2 centimeters. That comes out to be what? 9.3 minus 1.2. This comes out to be 8.1 centimeters. 8.1 centimeters. So now you have this radius as well. Plug it in here. 8.1 into 10 is the power of minus 2. Can you guys calculate the centripetal acceleration here? Any geniuses? The centripetal acceleration comes out to be 5.7 ms minus 2. Literally the easiest thing on this planet. A second piece of molding clay is attached to the disc shown in figure 1.2. ठीक है? Here is the second piece of molding clay. ठीक है? The second piece of molding clay has a larger mass than the first piece. ठीक है? By placing one tick in each row, complete table 1.1 to show the quantities indicated. Compare for the two pieces of molding clay. ठीक है? ये एक molding clay का piece है with a larger mass. This is a smaller molding clay का piece with a smaller mass. ठीक है? Now, you have to tell what will happen to these quantities. What will happen to the angular speed? Beta, what will happen to the angular speed W? Okay, so if you analyze W is equals to what? Yes, beta, W किसके equal होती है? Hmm. W is equals to what? एक second. Sir, why did we change the R? बेटा बहुत common sense की बात है ये. Why did we change the R? We had to calculate the centripetal acceleration on this molding clay. Molding clay का radius क्या है बेटा? 9.3 minus 1.2, that is 8.1 centimeter. Okay. Now, beta, what is the formula for W? W is equals to, if you all remember, W is equals to what? What has happened here? ठीक है? W is equals to 2 pi over T for this as well. And W is equals to 2 pi over T for this as well. Okay. Now, if you focus here, if you read this carefully, what is happening? A second piece of molding clay is attached to the disc in the position shown. Perfect. Now, this time period T for the larger molding clay and this time period T for the smaller molding clay will remain same. Sir, why is this the case? Why is this the case? Beta, imagine this. Imagine this. Imagine you have a plate of food like this. ठीक है, ये plate of food है, ठीक है. And let's say you have a piece of mutton here. Since I'm really, really hungry, I will be giving examples of food. And let's say this is a piece of beef here. And let's make the piece of beef thoda sa chota. Let's say you rotate. Let's say you rotate this piece of plate. Let's say you rotate this food key plate. It is the time period for the mutton piece to go through one complete revolution will be the same as the time period for one piece of beef to go through a complete revolution. ठीक है? बीफ और मटन को टाइम पीरियड एक ही लगेगा. लेट से अगर आप प्लेट को रोटेट करते हो एंड इट टेक्स 2 seconds टू रोटेट द प्लेट कंप्लीटली, तो मटन को भी भाई 2 सेकंड ही लग रहे होंगे टू कंप्लीट अ रोटेशन और बीफ को भी 2 सेकंड ही लग रहे होंगे टू कंप्लीट अ रोटेशन. कैन यू विजुअलाइज दिस भाई? आज खाना खा रहे हो तो ये एक्सपेरिमेंट करना. प्लेस वन पीस ऑन वन एंड सेकंड पीस ऑन द अदर एंड और प्लेट को घुमाओ. Both of them will take the same time period to complete one oscillation. ये बात समझ आई सबको? Yes. Is the basics of this clear? अगर ये चीज clear है, then you can do this easily. Now, the time period of this and this remain same. 2 pi is always a constant. So the W for both of them will remain same. W for both of them will remain same. What will happen to the linear speed V? Now this is interesting. Linear speed V का formula क्या होता है? V is equals to RW. Can you realize that the radius R here for the second piece is much smaller compared to the radius here of the small first piece. First piece का radius is much greater compared to the second piece का radius. So if the radius, let me mark it like this as well. This is R1, this is R2. If R1 is greater than R2, your velocity of 1 will be greater than velocity of 2. Simple as that. Nothing complicated here. नहीं 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 मास का इफेक्ट बेटा वेलोसिटी में नहीं होता. अच्छा, लेस फॉर सेकंड पीस देन द फर्स्ट पीस. दिस इज योर आंसर. What will happen to acceleration? Now, what will happen to acceleration? Again. Just focus a bit. What is the formula for acceleration? Centripetal acceleration is equals to RW square. W square is constant for both of them. But the radius of the first one is greater than the radius of the two. Hence, the acceleration of the first one will be greater than the acceleration of the second piece. So you will write that the acceleration for the second piece is less than the acceleration of the first piece. Is this entire question clear to all of you, beta? समझ आई? फूड प्लेट की एग्जांपल दी है, दैट्स वेरी फनी एंड इट्स आयरॉनिक. यस, समझ आई बेटा? यस और नो? यस सर. सर एक्सेलरेशन बता दें अगेन. बेटा एक्सेलरेशन का क्या फॉर्मूला होता है? व्हाट इज द फॉर्मूला ऑफ सेंट्रीपिटल एक्सेलरेशन? सेंट्रीपिटल एक्सेलरेशन का फॉर्मूला इज आर डब्ल्यू स्क्वायर. नाउ यू नो दैट हेयर आर वन क्या है? आर वन इज ग्रेटर देन आर टू. Hence, your acceleration will also be greater for 1 compared to acceleration for 2. Simple as that, nothing complicated here. कोई इसमें you can say there is no big deal here. Okay, sir. Perfect है. चलो, let's further move ahead. अच्छा. Now, for the students that have joined just now, beta, we are doing May June 2024 पेपर 4 वेरिएंट 2. ठीक है, हम ये वाला पेपर कर रहे हैं मई जून 2024 पेपर 4 वेरिएंट 2. सो टेक आउट दिस पेपर इफ यू कैन. चलो, लेट्स सी दिस. With reference to thermal energy, state what is meant by two objects being in thermal equilibrium. So you have to tell what does thermal equilibrium mean. Thermal equilibrium means what? No net transfer of thermal energy. Thermal equilibrium means what? No net transfer of thermal energy. Simple as that. Thermal equilibrium means what? No net transfer of thermal energy. Let's further move ahead. Two cylinders X and Y each contain a sample of an ideal gas. The samples are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Perfect. These are X and Y ke samples that are in thermal equilibrium with each other. X has a volume of this, contains 0.74 moles and has a pressure of this. Y has a volume of this, contains gas at a pressure of this. Data for the two cylinder is shown. Show that the temperature for the gas in X is 234 degree centigrade. ठीक है, हमने शो करना है कि भाई temperature of gas of X is this. So how will we show that? We will apply this formula. PV is equals to nRT. प्रेशर क्या है बेटा? 1.2 into 10 is the power of 5. वॉल्यूम क्या है भाई? वॉल्यूम इज 0.026. ठीक है. नंबर ऑफ मोल्स क्या है? 0.74. आपका आर क्या होता है? इफ समवन फॉरगेट्स द वैल्यू ऑफ आर, बेटा गॉड फॉर बेटा अगर एग्जामिनेशन में आर की वैल्यू भूल जाते हो तो मेरा ख्याल है आर की वैल्यू यहाँ पे गिवन होती है. यस, हियर इट इज गिवन. आर इज 8.31. अगर भूल जाते हो कभी तो इट इज गिवन इन द एग्जामिनेशन. सो आर इज इक्वल टू 8.3. मल्टीप्लाई कर दो 8.31. या मल्टीप्लाइड बाय टेम्परेचर। टेम्परेचर की वैल्यू किस तरह निकाल सकते हो बेटा? वेरी वेरी इजी, 1.2 इंटू 10⁻⁵ इंटू 0.026 divided by 0.74 into 8.31. What does the value of temperature comes out to be? Any geniuses in the chat? The value of temperature comes out to be 507 kelvins. Now you will say, sir, this is not what I want. भाई ये तो हमारे आंसर को मैच नहीं कर रही, because you have failed to ignore that this is in degree centigrades. ये Kelvin में है, तो we will have to convert it into degree centigrades as well. How will we convert it into degree centigrades? बहुत easy है. 507 minus 273 is equals to your degree centigrades. Your degree centigrades comes out to be 234 degrees centigrade. Perfect, very good, Aleha, very good. Determine the number of molecules of the gas in Y. Explain your reasoning. अच्छा, अब थोड़ा सा लॉजिकल सवाल है. जिसने क्लास में अटेंशन नहीं दी होगी, जिसने थोड़ा सा पढ़ा नहीं हुआ होगा, ही विल फंबल हियर, ही और शी विल फंबल हियर. देखो बेटा, हमें एक चीज गिवन थी इनिशियली वी वर गिवन वन थिंग, that x and y are in thermal equilibrium. x और y thermal equilibrium में. सर इसका मतलब क्या होता है थर्मल इक्विलिब्रियम? थर्मल इक्विलिब्रियम का बेसिक मतलब ये है कि दैट इफ द टेम्परेचर ऑफ एक्स इज 507 केल्विन, द टेम्परेचर ऑफ वाई इज आल्सो 507 केल्विन. सो नाउ यू नो द टेम्परेचर, नाउ यू नो द प्रेशर, नाउ you know the volume. You have to calculate the number of molecules. Which formula will you apply? PV is equals to NKT. Now here is one key point that you must write in the registers if you really want to ace this. बेटा दो फॉर्मूलाज होते हैं आइडियल गैस के, पीवी इज इक्वल्स टू एन के टी, पीवी इज इक्वल्स टू एन आर टी. वेन एवर यू आर गिवन द नंबर ऑफ मोल्स, जब भी आपको नंबर ऑफ मोल्स तो स्मॉल एन गिवन हो, you will apply this formula PV is equals to nRT. However, when you are given the number of molecules capital N, you will apply this formula PV is equals to NKT. Simple as that. बहुत easy सी बात है बेटा, यही तो मैं बता रहा हूँ राफे. यू कैन नॉट यूज इट ना, यू कैन नॉट यूज इट बिकॉज यहाँ पे आपको नंबर ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स निकालने हैं, नंबर ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स निकालने हैं, और जो आप मेथड कह रहे हो उससे आंसर तो सही आ जाएगा, बट खामा खा लंबी हो जाएगी. ठीक है, खामा खा लंबी हो जाएगी. इफ़ यू हैव अ फार्मूला यूटिलाइज इट. ठीक है. प्रेशर क्या है भाई? प्रेशर इज 2.9 इंटू 10⁻⁵. 2.9 इंटू 10⁻⁵. व्हाट इज द वॉल्यूम? वॉल्यूम क्या है? 0.043. 0.043. ठीक है. के की वैल्यू क्या है भाई? 1.38 इंटू 10⁻⁻23. टेम्परेचर की वैल्यू क्या है? 507. व्हाट डज योर नंबर ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स कम आउट टू बी? Any geniuses with a reasonable enough calculator will be able to calculate it. क्या आती है नंबर ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स की वैल्यू? 1.78 इंटू 10⁻24. सिंपल एज दैट, नथिंग कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हेयर. ठीक है, क्लियर हो गई बेटा ये बात? यस और नो? आगे बढ़ते हैं भाई. लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड भाई. आगे बढ़ते हैं अब. लेट्स सी दिस वन. ठीक है, ये देखते हैं. The gas in X consist of molecules that each have a mass that is 4 times the mass of a molecule of the gas in Y. अच्छा, अब इसको हम लिख लेते हैं कहीं. The gas in X each contain of molecules that have a mass that is 4 times the mass of gas in Y. ठीक है, तो mass of X is what? 4 times the mass of Y. Perfect. Explain how the root mean square speed of the molecules in X compare with the root mean square speed of the molecules in Y. Okay. पता नहीं कब कौन से लेक्चर में कोई मुझसे पूछ रहा था कि सर CRMS क्या होती है. आई डोंट नो आप लोगों की क्लास थी या कौन सी क्लास थी, बट रूट मीन स्क्वायर स्पीड इज योर CRMS. CRMS or root mean square speed is the velocity of the molecules in a gas. Okay. Now we have to tell, अगर मास 4 टाइम्स हो जाएगा तो व्हाट विल हैपन टू द रूट मीन स्क्वायर स्पीड? फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट क्या करेंगे, we will apply a very simple equation. Kinetic energy is equals to 3 over 2 kT. अच्छा, काइनेटिक एनर्जी की जगह मैं क्या लिख सकता हूँ, 1/2 m c² is equals to 3 over 2 kT. 2 cancel out. Now what are constants here बेटा, यहाँ पे क्या चीज़ कांस्टेंट है? x और y में k is a constant because k is a Boltzmann constant. T is a constant because both of them are at the thermal equilibrium. 3 is also a constant. So what can you say? Mean square speed is inversely proportional to 1 over mass. But this is mean square speed. This is mean square speed. You have to calculate the relationship of CRMS. So what will you do? Take square root on both sides. Take square roots on both sides. The square root of mean square speed and square root of 1 over m. This becomes CRMS is inversely proportional to under root m. Simple as that. अच्छा, ये है आपका सिंपल सा फॉर्मूला दैट यू विल बी यूटिलाइजिंग. Now, what will you say here? What will you say here? Yes. क्या कहोगे यहाँ पे? अच्छा, एग्जाम में बेटा आपने न्यूमेरिकल नहीं बताना होता, या ये डेरिवेशन नहीं बतानी. यू हैव टू टेल इट इन टर्म्स ऑफ वर्ड. यू हैव टू टेल इट इन टर्म्स ऑफ वर्ड. So, what will you say here? What will you say here? First of all, you will say kinetic energy. Kinetic energy of a gas molecule. Kinetic energy of a gas molecule is directly proportional to temperature and to what? Kinetic energy is directly proportional to temperature and to mass. And to mass. And to mass of a molecule. Hence, mass of a molecule is, or you can say, hence, a root mean square speed of a molecule is inversely proportional to what? Is inversely proportional to a square root of mass. Perfect. अब लास्ट लाइन क्या लिखोगे? You will tell how the root mean square speed of x compares with the root mean square speed of y. तो उसके लिए थोड़ी सी न्यूमेरिकल कैलकुलेशन और कर लो बेटा. You know that the mass of x, you know that the mass of x is 4 times the mass of y. Perfect. If your mass has increased 4 times, if your mass has increased 4 times, what will happen to your CRMS? CRMS will decrease by a factor of what? CRMS for x will decrease by a factor of what? If your mass increases, your CRMS will decrease, but by what factor? By under root 4. Your velocity will go from CRMS to half CRMS. So you can write this here. इसको यहाँ पे लिख सकते हो बेटा, मैं क्वेश्चंस लेता हूँ अभी. 1 second. You can write it here. CRMS CRMS of x is half the CRMS of Y. Any questions here? 2 टाइम्स कम होगी, वेरी गुड। 3 मार्क्स किस चीज़ के हैं, यही बता रहा था बेटा। 3 मार्क्स इस चीज़ के। ऑल क्लियर बेटा? यस और नो? बताओ अब समझ आई ये बात या नहीं? यस, क्लियर है सबको? एनीवन स्टिल कंफ्यूज इन दिस क्वेश्चन, पूछ सकते हो बेटा, डोंट हेजिटेट, ठीक है? चलो लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड। लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड। अच्छा, स्टेट व्हाट इज मेंट बाय इंटरनल एनर्जी ऑफ अ सिस्टम। बाय इंटरनल एनर्जी ऑफ अ सिस्टम क्या होती है? माइक्रोस्कोपिक सम, माइक्रोस्कोपिक सम of kinetic energy and potential energy of particles moving in random motion। भाई आप इंटरनल एनर्जी की क्या डेफिनेशन लिखोगे? सम ऑफ काइनेटिक एनर्जी and potential energy and potential energy of molecules moving in random। बाकी बहुत आसान लगते हैं, बस यही है यार, प्रैक्टिस करते रहो, देखो इजी ग्रेड है ये तुम्हें। तो ये है, बुक इतना पढ़ना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं होता। आई हैव हार्डली सीन एनी वन जिसका ग्रेड इंप्रूव हुआ बुक इंप्रूव पढ़ने से। तो चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट अगेन भाई। With reference to kinetic energies, ठीक है, and potential energies, describe and explain how the internal energy of the system changes when a gas is heated at constant volume so that its temperature increases। अच्छा बेटा, इंटरनल एनर्जी की क्या आपने वो पढ़ी थी? इंटरनल एनर्जी की व्हाट डू यू हैव नॉलेज ऑफ इंटरनल एनर्जी? इंटरनल एनर्जी का एक फॉर्मूला हमने पढ़ा था। व्हाट वाज दैट फॉर्मूला? इंटरनल एनर्जी is equals to Q plus work done on the gas. Okay. If your volume isn't changing, if your volume is constant, your work done on the gas will be zero। तो इससे तो internal energy में change नहीं आएगा। How will you write this? How will you write this? You will say, since the volume remains constant, there is no change in potential energy। You can say, since the volume or separation of molecules remains constant, there is no change in internal energy, there is no change in potential energy, sorry my bad, there is no change in potential energy। Perfect। Second of all, what is happening? Your temperature is increasing, and what do we know? Temperature is directly proportional to kinetic energy। So what will you say? As temperature increases, काइनेटिक एनर्जी इंक्रीजेस। लास्ट पॉइंट क्या लिखोगे बेटा? पोटेंशियल एनर्जी रिमेन्स अनचेंज्ड, काइनेटिक एनर्जी इंक्रीजेस, hence your internal energy increases। Simple as that, nothing complicated here। A wire is stretched within its elastic limit at constant temperature। Again, constant temperature का word लिखा है, that means what? At constant temperature, kinetic energy remains same. So there is no change in kinetic energy। As temperature, यहाँ पे क्या लिखोगे? As temperature is constant, there is there is no change in kinetic energy। There is no change in kinetic energy। नाउ व्हाट अबाउट पोटेंशियल एनर्जी? भाई पोटेंशियल एनर्जी को क्या होगा? एनी जीनियसेस इन द चार्ट? बेटा सिंस यू आर स्ट्रेचिंग द वायर, सिंस यू आर स्ट्रेचिंग द वायर, सिंस इसको किस तरह लिखेंगे? एज द वायर स्ट्रेचेस, as the wire stretches, the separation between the molecules increases. The separation between the molecules increase. As separation between the molecules increases, क्या होगा? Potential energy increases. लास्ट स्टेटमेंट क्या लिखोगे? Internal energy increases. All clear in this question? Yes or no? Is everything clear in this question? Literally easiest 8 marks of A2. आगे बढ़ते हैं भाई. A block of mass m oscillates vertically on a spring as shown in figure 4.1. अच्छा एक block है mass m का, this is oscillating like this. The acceleration of the block varies with displacement from the equilibrium position as shown in figure 4.2. तो ये acceleration versus displacement का ग्राफ given है. सर पोटेंशियल एनर्जी का और सेपरेशन का डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप है? यस बेटा, यू गॉट इट करेक्ट. पोटेंशियल एनर्जी और सेपरेशन का डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप है. यहाँ पे लिखना है तो लिख भी लो. एज सेपरेशन increases, your potential energy increases. As separation decreases, your potential energy decreases. Simple as that, nothing complicated here. Okay, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. अच्छा, this is a spring that is performing simple harmonic motion. Acceleration is directly proportional to displacement and in opposite direction. Perfect. The amplitude of oscillation is 3y and the maximum acceleration is 2a. Perfect. ये ग्राफ पे भी दिख रहा है, ग्राफ पे भी ये एविडेंट है. Explain how figure 4.2 shows that the oscillation of the block are simple harmonic. भाई फिगर 4.2 हमें किस तरह बता रहा है कि द ब्लॉक परफॉर्म सिंपल हार्मोनिक मोशन? वेरी 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 इजी. बेटा देर आर टू थिंग्स दैट वी कैन सी हियर. There are two things that we can see here. First of all, the graph is passing through origin. So what will you say? The graph passes through origin. Signifying what? Signifying that acceleration is directly proportional to displacement. Simple as that. बेटा आपका ग्राफ ओरिजिन से पास कर रहा है, सिग्निफाइंग दैट एक्सेलरेशन इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू डिस्प्लेसमेंट. अच्छा, वेरी गुड अली, वेरी गुड, शाबाश, दोनों चीज़ें तुमने स्पॉट कर ली. दिस विल गिव यू जस्ट 1 मार्क. सेकेंड मार्क किस पे लाई करता है? सेकेंड मार्क इज बेसिकली द नेगेटिव ग्रेडियंट. द नेगेटिव ग्रेडियंट शोज व्हाट? द नेगेटिव ग्रेडियंट, द नेगेटिव gradient indicates that acceleration is opposite to displacement. Simple simple, nothing complicated. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं भाई. Deduce expression in terms of sum or all of mass A and V for the angular frequency. So you have to determine angular frequency. Angular frequency is equals to what? 2 pi over what? 2 pi over F. Hmm. But we cannot write this here. We cannot write this here. Instead, what we can do is, we know acceleration is equals to negative w square over x. Perfect. Acceleration is equals to negative w square over x. When your acceleration is minus 2a. Beta, when your acceleration is minus 2a, your displacement is 3y. Let's substitute this point. Let's substitute this point. Negative 2a की acceleration is equals to minus w square into 3y. A negative negative cancel out. What will your answer be? 2a divided by 3y under root is equals to your w. This is your answer for w. अच्छा next part क्या है भाई? You have to calculate the maximum velocity. Always remember the maximum speed का formula क्या होता है? x naught w. What is x naught? Amplitude. What is the amplitude here? 3y multiplied by w, that is 2a divided by 3y. Simple as that, nothing complicated. Now, if you are good at mathematics, beta, if you are good at mathematics, you will not leave the answer like this. अगर mathematics थोड़ी सी अच्छी है, you will not leave the answer like this. What will you do here? अरे हाँ, माय बैड, सॉरी 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 सॉरी। 2 पाई ओवर टी, ठीक है, ये डब्ल्यू का फॉर्मूला 2 पाई ओवर टी होता है, या डब्ल्यू का फॉर्मूला होता है 2 पाई ओवर एफ, ठीक है, माय बैड। अच्छा, नाउ इफ यू आर गुड एट मैथमेटिक्स यू विल नॉट लीव द आंसर हेयर। बेटा अगर मैथमेटिक्स थोड़ी सी अच्छी है, यू विल नॉट लीव द आंसर हेयर। व्हाट विल यू डू? यू विल टेक दिस 3y इनसाइड द अंडर रूट। आप 3y को अंडर रूट के अंदर ले जाओगे। हाउ? यू विल से दिस इज इक्वल्स टू 3y multiplied by 3y into 2a divided by 3y. 3y cancel out. What is your answer equal to? 6ay. सर आप 3y को अंदर कैसे लेके गए अंडर रूट के? बेटा रिमेंबर बेसिक ओ लेवल मैथमेटिक्स, ये है 9 का अंडर रूट। 9 के अंडर रूट को किस तरह लिख सकते हैं? 3 into 3, 3 बाहर आ जाएगा, ठीक है। सो इसी तरह इफ आई वांट टू टेक एनीथिंग इनसाइड अंडर रूट, आई विल टेक इट 2 times inside the under root. 3y cancel out, 6ay comes out to be your answer. Now you have to calculate the energy of the oscillation. What is the kinetic energy or the total energy of the oscillation? 1 upon 2 m w square x naught square. We will keep m like that. Perfect. What is w square? W square is equals to what? Under root 2a divided by 3y whole square. What is x naught? X naught is 3y ka whole square. This gets cancelled out. Perfect. What will happen? This will become 1 upon 2m into 2a over 3y into 9y square. 2 cancel out, y, this cancel out, this becomes y. This equals to what? 6, nahi, 6 nahi, only 3. This is only 3 m a y is your answer. 3 m a y is your total energy ka answer. Let's further move ahead. The period of oscillation is this, the value of 3y is this. Determine an expression for x in terms of t, where x is in centimeters and t is in seconds. Perfect. So beta, you have to determine an expression for what? X in terms of t. What is x? X is your displacement. X is your displacement. So how can we basically write an expression for displacement? Do you remember simple harmonic motion में displacement का क्या formula होता था? X is equals to x naught sine wt. What is x naught? Your amplitude. Amplitude is 1.8. So x is equals to 1.8 sine. What will your w be equal to? W is equals to 2 pi over t. Time period क्या है बेटा? 0.75. Can I calculate w? Yes. W calculate हो जाएगा, yes, 8.4. So 8.4 t. This is your final equation for displacement. आ गई बात समझ? Yes or no? बेटा डू यू गेट दिस क्वेश्चन इन इट्स entirety? कोई ऐसी चीज जो ना समझ आ रही हो इधर? यस, इज द एंटायर क्वेश्चन क्लियर? यस सर, क्लियर है। चलो परफेक्ट, लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड। Define electric potential at a point. Okay, how will you define electric potential at a point? Very, very, very easy. What is electric potential? Work done per unit positive charge. Work done per unit positive charge. Or you can say electric potential is work done per unit. Oh, work done per unit charge in moving a positive charge. In moving a positive charge from infinity to any defined point in an electric field. Simple as that. Work done per unit charge in moving a positive charge from infinity to any defined point in an electric field. Simple as that. Let's further move ahead by. Two isolated metal spheres, X and Y, are near to each other in a vacuum. The center of the spheres are 1.2 meters apart. Perfect. Center of the spheres can 1.2 meters apart. You can see this here clearly. Perfect. As shown in figure 5.1. Point P is on the line joining the spheres X and Y. Perfect. This is point P. And it is at a variable distance x from the center of X. Perfect. Figure 5.2 shows the variation of X of the total electric potential due to the two spheres. So this is the variation of electric potential with X. Perfect. So, what do we have to say? Acha. State three conclusions that can be drawn from the spheres from figure 5.2. The conclusions can be quantitative or qualitative. Perfect. We have to draw three conclusions from this graph. Now, if you focus here, two conclusions are very, very easy. Two conclusions are very, very easy. First of all, you have to realize this is the total electric potential graph. What is the formula of electric potential? KQ over R, where Q is what? Q is the charge. Okay? Achha. Now, the first two conclusions are very, very, very easy. Very easy conclusions. What are those conclusions? बेटा चार्ज वन का रेडियस क्या है 0.3 मीटर सर हाउ डू यू नो दैट because inside the charge your electric potential remains constant. So you will say the radius of charge x is 0.3 meters. Let's write it down. The radius of charge x is 0.3 meters. Simple. Now let's move here. If you see the radius of charge y is what? 1.1 से 1.2 जा रहे हो. The radius of charge y is 0.1 meters. You can write it here. Radius of charge y is 0.1 meters. What is the third conclusion that you can give here? Beta, this electric potential is also positive. This electric potential is also positive. That means what? Both these charges are positive. Both these charges are positive, or you can say both these charges have an like charge. So यहाँ पे लिख सकते हो both the charges, both the spheres, both the spheres, both the spheres have a positive and equal charge. Now this is interesting. Both the spheres have a positive and an equal charge. थोड़ा सा फोकस करेंगे बेटा यहाँ पे. बोथ द स्फीयर्स हैव अ पॉजिटिव एंड एन इक्वल चार्ज. सर पॉजिटिव की बात तो समझ आ गई, ये इक्वल का आपको कैसे पता चला? हाउ डिड यू गेट टू नो दैट द चार्जेस आर इक्वल? If you examine closely, if you examine closely, अगर थोड़ा सा closely examine करो, तो you will see, बेटा this is something that only the A star students will get. तो थोड़ा सा focus करके पढ़ो. If you examine carefully, at this point, 0.6 meters का point, your electric potential graph is getting what? Flattened out, which in other words mean that if I draw a line here, if I draw a tangent here, बेटा अगर ये logic समझ आ गई, you will feel good about yourself. If I draw a tangent at this point, the gradient will be equal to 0. Now from theory, I know that the gradient of electric potential versus time graph is equals to what? Negative of electric field strength. If gradient is 0, the electric field strength is 0. And the electric field strength is 0 at which point? 0.6 meters. बेटा इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड स्ट्रेंथ किस पॉइंट पे 0 है? 0.6 मीटर्स. सर इससे क्या ही पता चल रहा है आपको? वॉट आर यू गेटिंग टू नो फ्रॉम दिस? बेटा बहुत ज्यादा चीजें पता चल रही हैं इफ यू जस्ट फोकस अ बिट. दिस मीन्स दैट लेट से ये आपका पॉइंट है x. दिस इज 0.6 meters and this is also 0.6 meters. The electric field strength at point x is 0. The electric field strength at point x is 0. अच्छा. Now, if the electric field strength, अच्छा इसको x नहीं करते because we already have a spare named x. Let's label it as, क्या label करें इसे? Let's label it as W. The electric field strength at W is the sum of electric field strength at x plus the electric field strength at y. Perfect. The electric field strength at W is equals to what? Electric field strength at x plus the electric field strength at y. Perfect. Now, if I know both of them are positively charged, बेटा अगर मुझे पता है दोनों पॉजिटिवली चार्ज हैं तो दोनों की इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड लाइंस किस तरह ओरिजिनेट होंगी? अवे फ्रॉम द चार्ज, अवे फ्रॉम द चार्ज. दिस इज EX, this is EY. Now let's assume the right hand side to be positive, left hand side to be negative. बेटा let's assume right hand side क्या है? Positive, left hand side क्या है? Negative. Perfect. Now at point W your electric field strength is 0. Perfect. Electric field strength due to X क्या होगी बेटा? Q charge of X divided by 4 pi E naught multiplied by 0.6 square. इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड स्ट्रेंथ ड्यू टू y क्या होगी? नेगेटिव ऑफ द चार्ज एट y डिवाइडेड बाय 4 पाई ई नॉट 0.6 स्क्वायर. लेट्स टेक दिस इंटायर टर्म टू द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड. इसको लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे ले जाते हैं. QY 4 पाई ई नॉट 0.6 होल स्क्वायर इज इक्वल टू QX 4 पाई ई नॉट 0.6 होल स्क्वायर. कुछ रियलाइज कर सकते हो? ये डिनोमिनेटर्स कैंसिल हो जाएंगे. चार्ज एट y विल बी इक्वल टू द चार्ज एट x. समझ आई बेटा बात? ये थर्ड वाला पॉइंट ज्यादातर स्टूडेंट्स रट्टा मारते हैं, बट इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक बिहाइंड इट फिर तो क्या ही बात हो जाएगी. लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड. ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. परफेक्ट. अ प्रोटॉन इज हेल्ड एट रेस्ट. ठीक है, एक प्रोटॉन है दैट इज हेल्ड एट रेस्ट ऑन द लाइन ज्वाइनिंग द सेंटर ऑफ द स्फीयर इन बी at the position where x is 0.6 meters. अच्छा 0.6 meters पे place कर रहे हो, so that means the electric field strength there will be 0. The proton is released. Describe and explain without calculation the subsequent motion of the proton. Proton को क्या होगा बेटा? If the electric field strength is 0, the proton will remain at rest. Why? Proton remains at rest. Why? because the electric field strength at x is equals to 0.6 meter is 0. Hence, the resultant, hence the electric force will be 0 as well. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Let's see this. Two capacitors X and Y are connected in series to a power supply of voltage V as shown in figure 6.1. The capacitance of capacitor X is Cx, ठीक हो गया, and the capacitance of capacitor Y is Cy, ठीक हो गया. Derive an expression in terms of Cx and Cy for the combined capacitance of the capacitors in the circuit. Explain your reasoning. बेटा derivation करनी है. You have to derive this. How will you do it? You know, in series, the total charge across each capacitor remains same. The total charge in the battery is equals to the charge at capacitor X is equals to the charge at capacitor Y. Secondly, in a series circuit, the voltage is equals to what? Sum of the voltages at X plus the voltage at Y. Now, what can you do here? You can substitute this voltage key values with what? You have studied a formula. You have studied a formula that is what? Capacitance is equals to charge over voltage. Voltage is equals to charge over capacitance. What can you write here? The total voltage is equals to what? Charge at X divided by the capacitance at X. And instead of total voltage, what can you write? You can say the total charge divided by the capacitance total plus the capacitance Y divided by the capacitance Y. Can I take the charges as common? Yes, take the charge as common. Qt divided by Ct is equals to charge over 1 over Cx plus 1 over Cy. Charge and charge gets cancelled out. 1 over Ct, that is the total capacitance, is equals to 1 over C1 plus 1 over C2. This is your answer. Simple as that, nothing complicated. Chalo, let's see this. The two capacitors P and Q are connected in parallel now to a power supply of voltage V. The capacitor of capacitance, the capacitance of P is this. The capacitance of Q can be varied from 0 to 400 microfarads. When capacitance of Q is 0, the total energy stored is 2.5 millijoules. Show that the voltage supply is this. Perfect. If two capacitors are connected in parallel, let's say this is P, this is Q, what will happen? Their capacitance will get added up. P is 200 microfarad, Q is 0. What will be the total capacitance here? 200 microfarad. Your total energy is what? 2.5 millijoules. Energy is equals to what? 1 upon 2 CV square. Energy is 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 is equals to half into the total capacitance, that is 200 into 10 raised to the power of minus 6 due to this micro into the voltage curve square. Can you guys calculate the voltage supply? Yes, 2 into 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 divided by 200 into 10 raised to the power of minus 6 taken under root. What does your voltage come out to be? Your voltage come out to be 5 volts. Simple as that. Do you get this, beta? 5 volts is your answer. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं भाई. Let's further move ahead. Calculate the total energy in megajoules stored when the capacitor Q has its maximum value. Okay, what is the maximum value of capacitor Q? 400 microfarads. So if capacitor Q becomes 400 microfarads, what will the total capacitance be equal to? बेटा अगर कैपेसिटेंस Q जो है वो 400 माइक्रोफैराड्स हो जाएगा तो टोटल कैपेसिटेंस क्या हो जाएगी? 200 plus 400, that is 600 microfarads. ठीक हो गया. How will you calculate the energy here? Energy is equals to 1 upon 2 CV square. C is what? 600 microfarad. 600 into 10 raised to the power of minus 6 into the voltage that we just calculated, 5 curve square. What does your energy comes out to be? Your energy comes out to be 7.5 millijoules. Perfect. On figure 6.2, sketch the variation of the total energy stored in the capacitor as CQ varies from 0 to 400 microfarads. When capacitance CQ was 0, the total energy was 2.5. When the capacitor CQ was 400, the energy was 7.5. Draw a line between the two. Like this. This is your line. Simple. Perfect. समझ आ गया ये सवाल बेटा? यस और नो? आई थिंक हाँ, ये सवाल का एंड हो गया. ठीक है, चलो परफेक्ट. आगे बढ़ते हैं भाई. लेट्स फिर देन मूव अहेड. State Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Yes. What is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction states that induced EMF is what? Is directly proportional to what? Induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of, to the rate of what? To the rate of change of magnetic flux. Figure 7.1 shows a coil at rest in a uniform magnetic field that is parallel to the axis of the coil. Acha. A coil here that is at rest in a magnetic field. The coil is connected to a center 0 voltmeter. Perfect. This is a center 0 voltmeter. The magnetic flux density of the uniform magnetic field varies with time as shown in figure 7.2. Okay. This is how the magnetic flux density varies with time. Perfect. This is how the magnetic flux density varies with time. The coil consists of 340 turns. Each has a cross-sectional area of this. Calculate the maximum magnetic flux through one turn of the coil. So you have to calculate the maximum magnetic flux. The maximum magnetic flux will be equal to what? Maximum magnetic flux density into area. And you have to calculate for one turn of the coil. Beta, you have to calculate for one turn of the coil. How will you do this? First of all, you will go and see what is the maximum magnetic flux density. Beta, first of all, maximum magnetic flux density, dekh lo. What is this value? This value, let's see, let's calculate this value. By this is also important. You are going from 4 to 8. You are going from 4 to 8, covering 4 units in 10 boxes. One box will cover how many units? You have to calculate the maximum magnetic flux through one turn of the coil. So if you have to calculate the maximum magnetic flux, what will you do? You will take the maximum magnetic flux density and multiply it with the area. And since you have to calculate the maximum flux through one coil, तो आप यहाँ पे number of coils से multiply नहीं करोगे. What is the maximum flux here? I remember we were interpreting the scale here. If 10 small boxes represent 4 units, one box will represent 0.4 units. This will become what? This will become 7.2. Simple. So your maximum magnetic flux density is what? 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 Tesla into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 Tesla. What is your area? 3.2 into 10 raised to the power of minus 4. Can anyone tell me the maximum magnetic flux? Very good, Wahabi. Very good. The answer comes out to be 2.3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 6, and the units will be Webers. The units will be Webers. Very good, Wahab. Shabash. Let's move ahead. Determine the maximum rate of change of magnetic flux linkage in the coil. You have to या बेटा, यस मोमेंट, यस बेटा, यस यस यस। ये एन बी ए वाला फॉर्मूला है, इसमें एन हमने वन किया हुआ है सिंस वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट फॉर वन टेन, ठीक है। अच्छा, अभी ये सवाल पढ़ो भाई, क्या लिखा हुआ है, कैलकुलेट द मैक्सिमम रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ मैग्नेटिक फ्लक्स लिंकेज इन द कॉइल। यार एग्जामिनर क्या कह रहे हैं बेसिकली, एग्जामिनर इज सेइंग यू हैव टू कैलकुलेट change in phi over change in t maximum value. Examiner is basically saying कि भाई change in t, oh sorry, change in phi over change in t की maximum value निकाल दो प्लीज। ओके बेटा, change in phi को आप किस तरह लिख सकते हो? हाउ विल यू राइट change in phi? हाउ विल यू राइट change in phi? एनी जीनियस अभी लिखा है बेटा, we will say change in phi is equals to n a into change in b over change in t। मैक्सिमम, हमें इस चीज की मैक्सिमम वैल्यू चाहिए। अब आप कहोगे सर ये एन अचानक से कहाँ से आ गया, ये एन अचानक से कहाँ से आ गया? कैन यू रियलाइज हियर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द इंटायर कॉइल, एंड इन द प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन वी वर ओनली टॉकिंग अबाउट वन टर्न ऑफ द कॉइल। ओके, नाउ इफ यू वांट दिस इंटायर फ्रैक्शन टू बी मैक्सिमम, बेटा अगर आप चाहते हो कि ये पूरा फ्रैक्शन मैक्सिमम हो तो आप क्या कर सकते हो? यू कैन से दैट एन ए नंबर ऑफ टर्न्स और एरिया तो कांस्टेंट रहेगा। फॉर दिस इंटायर फ्रैक्शन टू बी मैक्सिमम, चेंज इन बी ओवर चेंज इन टी शुड बी मैक्सिमम। परफेक्ट। नाउ हाउ कैन आई कैलकुलेट? हाँ हाँ, मैं शो कर देता हूँ बेटा, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट। मैं शो कर देता हूँ, एक्सप्लेन भी कर दूंगा, जस्ट जस्ट टेक अ चिल पिल, आराम से रिलैक्स करो। कोई मसला नहीं है अगर अभी आए हो तो ही। ठीक है। अब भाई इस फ्रैक्शन को मैक्सिमम करने के लिए व्हाट डू वी नीड टू डू? वी नीड टू कैलकुलेट द मैक्सिमम चेंज इन बी ओवर चेंज इन टी। ठीक है। अब मैक्सिमम चेंज इन बी ओवर चेंज इन टी कैसे निकाले? वेरी गुड सजेशन मोमिन, वेरी गुड बेटा, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड सजेशन वहाब, वेरी गुड सजेशन राफे, वेरी गुड। बेटा अगर आपने मैक्सिमम चेंज इन बी ओवर चेंज इन टी निकालना है तो व्हाट विल यू डू? इफ यू ऑब्जर्व, if you observe this graph, this graph is what? This graph is for b versus t. If I calculate the gradient of this graph, it will be what? Change in y over change in x. What is on the y-axis? Change in b over change in t. This will be your gradient. Now, if you want this value to be maximum, you will want your gradient to be maximum. Perfect, 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 perfect. Now, how can we calculate the maximum gradient? अब बेटा मैक्सिमम ग्रेडियंट हमेशा याद रखो, हमेशा रिमेंबर दिस की पॉइंट फॉर इटर्निटी। टेंजेंट तो बनाएंगे बेटा, लेकिन टेंजेंट कहाँ बनाएंगे वो भी एक लॉजिकल आंसर है। मैक्सिमम ग्रेडियंट ऑलवेज occurs at the mean position. Maximum gradient always occurs at the mean position. Now, how can you calculate the mean position here? How can you calculate the mean position here? If you see the minimum value is what? If you see the minimum value is 2.4. As far as I can see, ये हो जाएगा 2, this is 2.4, yeah. And the maximum value is 2.7. If you have to calculate the mean position, beta, you apply this formula. Mean position is what? Maximum plus minimum divided by 2. We have studied this in simple harmonic का chapter. बेटा मीन पोजीशन किस तरह निकालते हैं? मैक्सिमम प्लस मिनिमम डिवाइडेड बाय 2। व्हाट इज द मैक्सिमम पोजीशन? 7.2। व्हाट इज द मिनिमम पोजीशन? 2.4 डिवाइडेड बाय 2। व्हाट डज योर आंसर कम आउट टू बी? 7.2 plus 2.4 divided by 2. This comes out to be 4.8. This comes out to be 4.8 millitesla. Simple as that. So basically, your mean position is where? Your mean position is at this point. Your mean position is at this point. Perfect. So you have to draw a tangent at these points. You can draw a tangent at any one of these points. So let me take the first point. I will draw a tangent here. Let's draw it. Let's draw a tangent here. And believe me, I have seen very impressive answers in the chat. Really, really happy भाई. आज तो तुम लोगों ने शुरू क्लास में ही बड़ा ही खुश कर दिया. Very good. Very good. You will draw a tangent like this here. Now, or you might notice that I am finding difficult to draw a tangent here. अगर आप यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा, हाँ, now it looks थोड़ा सा, this is almost like a line. This is almost like a line. Let me see whether this fits as a line. Yeah, this is almost a line. This is almost a line. So what can you do? You can take this as one of your value, that is 0 0.5 and 4.8. What will be your other value? What will be your other value? देखो यहाँ पे tangent बनाने की I am trying really hard, but there is no literal point we can make it in. This could be a tangent, but yeah, let's make this as a tangent. Perfect. 0 0.5 and 4.8, and what will be the other value? Let's say you have this as your other value. This as your other value. Let me see this. Which value is this by? This value is your second point, which is 0 0.4 and 4. Can you calculate the gradient here? Yes, you can easily. अच्छा एक सेकंड, बहुत सारे आगे हैं यहाँ पे सवाल. अच्छा, let me see. Sir, can we do it like this, that at the start of the curve it's gradient 0 and at the crest it's 0, so mid में maximum होगा तो x axis से सो x axis से नंबर कर सकते हैं. दिस विल नॉट ऑलवेज बी द केस बेटा. जिसने भी ये सवाल पूछा बेटा, दिस विल नॉट ऑलवेज बी द केस. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि योर डायग्राम इज अ skewed डायग्राम. लेट्स से योर डायग्राम इज समवॉट लाइक दिस. योर डायग्राम इज अ skewed डायग्राम इस तरह से. फिर क्या करोगे? यस. ठीक है. यस 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 यस. ठीक है. तो दैट डजंट अप्लाई हेयर. ऑल्सो, अच्छा मोमेंट ने आंसर दिया. चलो लेट्स चेक आउट. यू हैव 2 पॉइंट्स. लेट्स कैलकुलेट द ग्रेडियंट हियर. द ग्रेडियंट हियर विल बी इक्वल टू 4.8 minus 4 divided by 0.5 minus 0.4. This comes out to be 0.8 divided by 0.1. That is equals to 8 as your gradient. Now you will say, sir, you have made a mistake here because I haven't considered the units on the y-axis and the units on the x-axis. But beta, if you apply common sense here, देखो most of the physics is common sense. If you apply common sense here and you say that y has a units of milli, x-axis also has the units of milli, what will happen? They will cancel out top and bottom. Your gradient still comes out to be 8. So your gradient maximum is 8. Your maximum value of change in B over change in T is 8. Perfect. Okay. So what is your value of N? Your value of N, as far as I remember, is 340. Area is 3.2 into 10 is the power of minus 4. इसको रख देते हैं भाई. 340 into 3.2 into 10 is the power of minus 4, and your gradient is maximum 8. Can anyone calculate this answer for me? भाई calculate कर सकते हो ये answer? This comes out to be 0.87. This comes out to be 0.87. Any ambiguities here? Yep, very good, Rafe. Very good. 0.87 is your answer. Any ambiguities here? No, easy sir. चलो, if you guys have any ambiguities, literally अब तो इतना टाइम हो गया, you should be friends by now, ठीक है? तो कोई आपके ऊपर हंसेगा नहीं, nobody will laugh at you for asking a silly question, ठीक है? चलो, एंड आई ऑल्सो ट्राई कि मैं नाम ना लूं जब तुम लोग सवाल पूछते हो, सो दैट यू गाइज कैन आस्क क्वेश्चन बड़े ही इजी होके। तो जो भी क्वेश्चन आता है, आस्क अवे, दिस इज योर टाइम फॉर इम्प्रूवमेंट। State the maximum electromotive force induced across the coil. Now, this is a common sense का question. This is the common sense का question. बेटा मैक्सिमम इंड्यूस्ड ईएमएफ निकालना है तो ईएमएफ क्या होता था? इफ यू रिमेंबर, चेंज इन phi over change in t was your EMF. Perfect. You have to calculate the maximum EMF. You have to calculate maximum change in phi over change in t. This will be 0.87 volts. अच्छा, क्या सवाल है? एक सेकेंड सर। ईएमएफ इंड्यूस डायरेक्टली, हाँ, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड भाव। चलो, नाउ लेट्स डू क्वेश्चन 4। नाउ लिसन केयरफुली। ऑन फिगर 7.3, sketch the variation of the EMF induced across the coil from time t is equals to 0 till time t is equals to 6 milliseconds. Perfect. What a beautiful question. You have to draw the graph of induced EMF between time t is equals to 0 till time t is equals to 6 milliseconds. Very good. यहाँ पे आपको काम आएगी आपकी मेन पोजीशंस. Here you will utilize your main positions. Now, beta, you know that induced EMF. Acha, now I think I will have to rub things here. Let's place gradient calculation here. Minimize it. Um, okay. So now, if you notice, the highlighted green points, all those points that I am highlighting in green, all those points that I am highlighting in green have a unique property. All those points that I am highlighting in green have a unique property. The change in B over change in T for all these green points is zero. Beta, the gradient of all these green points is zero. Perfect. If the green point ka gradient is zero, what is my induced EMF equal to? My induced EMF is equals to NA into change in B over change in T. If this entire thing is zero, if this entire thing is zero, at these specific points, your EMF will be zero. So at time t is equals to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At all these whole number points, मेरा EMF क्या होगा भाई? 0. Let's mark it here. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And at all the other points, at all the middle values, your EMF will be maximum. Sir, why do you say that? चलो इसको भी मैं दिखा देता हूँ. This is a common sense बात. At all these red points, okay, now I will have to remove this color here. At all these red points, what do you have? You have a maximum gradient. You have a maximum gradient. If you have a maximum gradient, if this thing is maximum, your EMF will be maximum. So let's plot these points by 0.5 पे induced EMF maximum है. 1.5 पे induced EMF maximum है. 2.5 पे induced EMF is maximum. 3.5 पे induced EMF is maximum. 4.5 induced EMF is maximum. 5.5 induced EMF is maximum. Now just draw a sine curve through them. Like this. Perfect. Nothing complicated here. This is your voltage versus time graph. The variation of voltage V with T can be described by this equation. Perfect. This is the voltage versus uh, ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है। हाँ ठीक है, नो क्वेश्चन आई गेस, ठीक है। A and B are constants. Determine the values of A and B. Now, if you remember from alternating current, your alternating voltage equation was equivalent to what? V is equals to V naught sine WT. Now, what is your maximum induced EMF here or maximum voltage here? 0.87. What will be the units here? Volts. Now, how will you calculate B? Your B is equals to W. Perfect. How can you calculate W? W is equals to 2 pi over T. Do you have the time period? Yes, you have the time period. That is 2 milliseconds. This time period taken for one wave to complete is 2 milliseconds. So divide kar do beta. B comes out to be what? 2 pi over 2 into 10 is the power of minus 3. This gives you an answer of what? Any geniuses? The answer comes out to be, oh, what has happened here? Calculate karo answer. OneNote is doing its own gymnastics here. ठीक है. चल. The answer comes out to be 3100 radians per second. 3100 radians per second. Now, sir, how do you know that the units will be radians per second? Because can you see B is equivalent to W and the units of W are radians per second. Any questions, any ambiguities here? The floor is open for you guys. Let's see this. Figure 8.1 shows part of the emission spectra of visible radiation emitted by the hydrogen gas in a star in a distant galaxy. ठीक है, ये emission spectra है of a hydrogen gas in a distant galaxy. ठीक है. The galaxy is moving away from Earth at a speed of this. बेटा जो galaxy जिस speed से move कर रही होती है, you always label it as small v. The speed with which the galaxy is moving, you always label it as a small v. This is known as the speed of recession. Let's move ahead. Explain how the position of the lines in the spectrum seen by an observer on the Earth differ from the position shown in figure 8.1. Okay. So if a galaxy is moving away from you, what will happen? The decreases, wavelength increases, frequency decreases. So explain how the position of the light spectrum shown by an observer on Earth will change. क्या होगा बेटा? ये सारी लाइंस लेफ्ट पे शिफ्ट हुई भी दिखेंगी. You will see lines of a lesser frequency and the lines will be shifted towards the left. So you will say the star is moving away. The star, or you can say the galaxy. The galaxy is moving away from the observer. Hence, wavelength increases and observed frequency decreases. बेटा यहाँ पे एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कीवर्ड है, दैट इज ऑब्जर्व्ड का कीवर्ड. देखो या तो आप ये, देखो या तो अब आप अपना पेज भर सकते हो बाय राइटिंग दैट फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑब्जर्व बाय द ऑब्जर्वर, या फिर आप ये कह सकते हो ऑब्जर्व फ्रीक्वेंसी. ऑब्जर्व फ्रीक्वेंसी का वर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट है. ऑब्जर्व फ्रीक्वेंसी डिक्रीजेस. ठीक है. अच्छा भैया, नेक्स्ट क्या करना है? हाँ, रेड शिफ्ट का भी जिक्र कर सकते हो इफ यू वांट. ऑन फिगर 8.1 ड्रॉ द थ्री लाइन इन द पॉसिबल पोजीशन इन द स्पेक्ट्रम सीन बाय द ऑब्जर्वर. बेटा देखो, ये मुझे लग रहा है ग्रेड 8 का डायग्राम का पेपर है. 2 मार्क्स दे रहा है एग्जामिनर जस्ट टू ड्रॉ लाइंस लाइक दिस. लिटरली A2 में ये एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं. यस, यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट दिस. 2 मार्क्स दे रहा है वो 3 लाइंस बनाने के इस तरह. The lines in figure 8.1 correspond to the electron transition down to the energy level this. ठीक है. So the lines, all these lines, these black lines corresponds to different photons emitted when you go down to an energy level of negative 3.4 electron volt. One of the lines represent radiation of wavelength this. अच्छा, इसमें से एक लाइन रिप्रेजेंट कर रही है वेवलेंथ 488 नैनोमीटर का फोटोन. परफेक्ट. Calculate the energy of this photon. Very easy. Energy is equals to hc over lambda. H is what? Planck's constant 6.63 into 10 is the power of minus 34 into c, that is 3 into 10 is the power of 8, divided by lambda, that is 488 into 10 is the power of minus 9. What does your energy of photon come out to be? Yes, photon की energy क्या आती है बेटा? The photon energy comes out to be 4.08 into 10 is the power of minus 19 joules. Simple as that. Nothing complicated. Determine the energy in electron volts of the energy level from which the electron transition originates to cause the emission of this radiation. अच्छा, बहुत लंबा चौड़ा सवाल पूछ रहा है लेकिन वेरी इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड. बेटा एग्जामिनर बोल रहा है कौन से एनर्जी लेवल से, लेट्स से दिस इज योर एनर्जी लेवल एक्स, लेट्स से दिस इज योर एनर्जी लेवल नेगेटिव 3.4 इलेक्ट्रॉन वोल्ट्स. एग्जामिनर कह रहा है टेल मी द वैल्यू ऑफ एक्स, दैट इज द एनर्जी लेवल जिससे आप फॉल डाउन करोगे to emit a photon of this energy. Okay. So first of all, you must realize that these energies are in electron volts. आपके photon की energy joules में. First of all, let's convert joules into electron volts. How will we do that? 4.08 into 10 is the power of minus 19 divided by 1.6 into 10 is the power of minus 19. ये cancel out. देखो क्या आती है energy. 4.08 divided by 1.6, 2.55. So the photon has energy of 2.55 electron volts. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? This basically means, this simpler terms में इसका ये मतलब है बेटा कि if you subtract the higher energy level from the lower energy level, the energy difference is what? 2.55. X plus 3.4 is equals to 2.55. X is equals to what? 2.55 minus 3.4. X comes out to be what? Can anyone calculate this answer? X comes out to be negative 0.85 electron. Always remember, whenever you are calculating the energy differences in electron levels, what will you do? You will take the higher energy level minus lower energy level. Simple. All clear? Any question in this? Is it the last? No, we have another part as well. Determine the wavelength in nanometers of this radiation as detected by the observer on the earth. Okay, so now we have to basically tell the wavelength of this radiation on earth. Now we have to basically tell the wavelength of this radiation on earth. How will we do that? बेटा डॉपलर इफेक्ट का एक फॉर्मूला याद रख लो. डॉपलर इफेक्ट का ये फॉर्मूला अगर याद रख लिया तो लाइफ इजी हो जाएगी. लिटरली नॉट इवन जोकिंग, लाइफ इजी हो जाएगी. विच फॉर्मूला इज इट? चेंज इन लैंडा ओवर लैंडा is equals to V over C. This is the formula of Doppler effect that I would recommend you guys to remember. If you don't remember, exam में क्या करना होगा? You will have to literally shift through the pages और बिल्कुल starting में जाना पड़ेगा. You will have to go to the starting and this is your Doppler effect formula. Okay, so let's do that. Let's place it here. Okay, so V over C. Okay. Now, what is change in lambda? What is change in lambda? First of all, थोड़ा सा इसको गौर करके समझेंगे बेटा. What is change in lambda? Change in lambda is basically what? Basically, this change in lambda is the difference in lambda on Earth and galaxy. ठीक है? This is the difference in lambda between the Earth and the galaxy. ठीक है? What is this lambda? This is the wavelength of source. अच्छा सर, अब सोर्स क्या होती है? बेटा सोर्स वो चीज़ होती है जहाँ से आपकी लैंडा इमिट हो रही है इनिशियली. वेयर इज द लैंडा इमिटिंग? हेयर. ये आपकी सोर्स की लैंडा है, 488 नैनोमीटर्स. परफेक्ट. Why do I call it as the source की lambda? Because can you see this lambda was emitted by the hydrogen spectrum. ठीक है. Now you plug it here. Change in lambda is equals to 488 into 10 raised to the power of minus 9 is equals to V over C. What is V? Speed of recession. Oh, where was the speed of recession? 6.2 into 10 raised to the power of 6. Perfect. Now, if you analyze here, the change in lambda comes out to be what? Change in lambda is equals to 10 nanometer, or you can say 10 into 10 raised to the power of minus 9 meters. Now, if you realize the galaxy is moving away from Earth, so your total wavelength will be equal to what? Your total wavelength will be equal to the actual wavelength plus the change in lambda. This comes out to be 498 nanometers. Simple as that. A value for Hubble space constant is given. This is your h naught. Perfect. Determine the distance of the galaxy from the Earth. So what do we know? Speed of recession is equals to h naught into d. Are we given the speed of recession? Yeah, speed of recession is 6.2 into 10 raised to the power of 6. 6.2 into 10 raised to the power of 6. Your Hubble space constant is 2.3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 18. Can you calculate the distance d? Can you calculate the distance d between the Earth and the galaxy? Yes. 6.2 into 10 raised to the power of 6 divided by 2.3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 18 is your distance. Let's calculate it. 6.2 into 10 raised to the power of 6 divided by 2.3 into 10 raised to the power of minus 18. This gives you a value of 2.7 into 10 raised to the power of 24 meters is your answer. This marks the end of this question. I hope this is clear. Now, what is meant by binding energy of a nucleus? Binding energy of a nucleus is the energy required to separate the nucleons till infinity. Perfect. How do we calculate the mass defect? By mass defect किस तरह calculate करोगे? You will take the masses of protons, masses of neutron minus the entire mass of the polonium nucleus. You will calculate the mass defect. ठीक है. How will you calculate the binding energy? Take the mass defect multiplied by the speed of light का square. How do you calculate binding energy per nucleon? Divide the binding energy by 212. Simple. Then you had to draw this graph. That how does the binding energy per nucleon varies with nucleon number. Perfect. Then you had to mark polonium की position क्या होगी? 212 here. Then you had to tell when polonium 212 undergoes alpha decay, why does it release energy? It releases energy because the nucleus form has a lower nucleon number. Hence, the binding energy per nucleon is greater. Let's further move ahead. Acha. Now here, describe how reflected ultrasound pulses may be used to obtain diagnostic information about internal structures. Very, very easy. The time taken for the reflected ultrasounds to return tells us about the depth of the structure. Secondly, the intensity, the intensity, the intensity of reflected ultrasounds tells us about the nature of the boundary. Nature of the structure कह लो, nature of the boundary कह लो, either way works. Let's further move ahead. Define a specific acoustic impedance. You have to define Z. What is a specific acoustic impedance? A specific acoustic impedance is the product of density of the medium, density of the medium, and speed of ultrasound in that medium. Let's further move ahead. Table 10.1 shows some data for water and for glass. Determine the intensity reflection coefficient for ultrasound that is incident on the water glass boundary. Now, what is intensity reflection coefficient? Intensity reflection coefficient is this alpha. Now, do you remember the formula of alpha? Yes. Formula of alpha is what? Alpha ka formula is Z2 minus Z1 whole square divided by Z2 plus Z1 whole square. Now, beta, what is Z2? What is Z1? Let's study about that as well. मैं जब पढ़ाऊंगा तब इजी हो जाएंगे बूट कैम्प में जब मैं पढ़ाऊंगा तब इजी हो जाएंगे डोंट वरी अबाउट इट आप अच्छा नाउ 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 one thing to remember here is how to calculate Z1 and Z2. Z has a very simple formula. You take the density and multiply it with the speed of sound. What is the density of water? 1000. What is the speed of sound? 1420. Can you calculate the Z1? Can you calculate the Z1 or the Z for water? 1240 into 100. This comes out to be 1.42 into 10 is the power of 6. Now, Z2 भी निकाल लो बेटा 2500. This comes out to be what? Z2 निकालो. हाँ Z2 निकालो किस तरह निकालोगे 2500 into 4560. This comes out to be what? 1.14 into 10 is the power of 7. Simple. Now, can you calculate Z2 minus Z1 and Z2 plus Z1 ka whole square? Yes. Let me do one thing. Let me also bring this in this form. 11.4 into 10 is the power of 6. Perfect. Now, Z2 minus Z1 निकाल लेते हैं बेटा. 11.4 minus 1.42 into 10 raised to the power of minus 6 whole square divided by 11.4 plus 1.42 into 10 raised to the power of 6 whole square. Now, if you're a little intelligent, आप क्या करोगे अपनी कैलकुलेशन को सिंप्लीफाई करने के लिए 10 raised to the power of 6 10 raised to the power of minus 6 कैंसिल कर दोगे. What will be remaining? 11.4 minus 1.42 whole square divided by 11.4 plus 1.42 whole square. Can you calculate this answer? भाई ये आंसर क्या आता है? This answer comes out to be 0.61. Simple. Yes, any ambiguities here? Finally, at last, this paper is finished. भाई ये बड़ा ही कोई खौफनाक पेपर था. Maybe because we did it over the span of 2 classes, तो इसलिए लग रहा है. लेकिन yeah, this really felt like an eternity. All clear?